Have you ever noticed how life often unfolds at the very moment you stop trying to control it? You spend days searching for an answer, weeks hoping for something to change, months holding your breath, waiting for clarity, and just when you're about to give up, something shifts. A path appears. The silence breaks, and what once felt impossible begins to make sense. It's as if life has been listening all along. Quietly, patiently, waiting for you to release your grip, to soften your need for control, to simply have faith. This is not coincidence. It's the rhythm of the universe. It's the quiet law of nature that the Stoics understood with every fiber of their being. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Live in agreement with what happens." He knew that peace wasn't found in prediction or in trying to force the future into shape. Peace was found in trust, in the unwavering belief that whatever comes, comes with purpose. And when it's meant for you, it won't miss you. You may be walking through uncertainty right now. You may feel behind or overlooked or lost in something you can't yet name. But what if this exact moment, the one you're tempted to resent, is part of your becoming? What if the delay is not punishment but preparation? The Stoics believed that life moves according to its own rhythm. And we are not meant to dictate the rhythm, but to move in harmony with it, to act when it's time to act, to wait when it's time to wait, to trust when the road is dark, because everything you're searching for, strength, clarity, peace, it's already on its way, but it doesn't arrive on your schedule. It arrives when you're ready, not when your mind is frantic, but when your heart is still. So, take a breath, let go of what you can't control, and lean into the deeper current beneath all things. This isn't just Stoic philosophy. It's a way of living, a way of being. A path to trust, not just in life, but in yourself, because everything comes in time. And today, we begin with that truth. Chapter 1, Trust the Flow. There's a moment in life when you realize that fighting the current doesn't get you anywhere. You push. You strive. You try to bend life to your will, but the more you resist, the more exhausted you become. Like someone swimming upstream, your energy drains, and still you stay in the same place. But when you finally stop resisting, when you pause, let go, and trust the direction life is pulling you, that's when things begin to change. That's when peace finds its way back to you. Not because the storm has disappeared, but because you've stopped battling the water. You are not meant to control the flow. You are meant to move with it. The Stoics understood this with clarity. They saw life not as something to dominate, but as a force to align with. Marcus Aurelius, writing to himself in the quiet of his meditations, said, "Adapt yourself to the life you have been given, and truly love the people with whom destiny has surrounded you." He wasn't telling you to surrender in defeat. He was reminding you to trust what life is doing, even when you don't yet understand it. Letting go is not weakness, it's wisdom. It's recognizing that you can take action, yes, but you cannot force outcomes. You can plant the seed, water the soil, tend the garden, but you cannot control when the tree will bear fruit. You've seen this in your own life. Maybe you've chased after something, love, success, recognition, only to watch it slip further away the tighter you gripped it. And then, the moment you stopped trying so hard, something better appeared. Not because you gave up, but because you gave space. Space for life to move in its own time. Fate is not your enemy, it is your silent teacher. The Stoics called this concept amor fati, the love of fate. Not just accepting what happens, but embracing it, loving it. Trusting that what unfolds is part of your path, not a detour from it. It's not always easy, especially when things fall apart, or stall, or never seem to arrive. But think about this. What if the delay is protecting you from something you don't yet see? What if what you think you want isn't what you actually need? Seneca once wrote, "It is part of the cure to wish to be cured." In other words, healing, growth, arrival, all begin with your willingness to trust the process. This moment, this very one you're in, is not an accident, even if you feel lost, even if nothing seems to be moving. There's a rhythm underneath the stillness. You're not stuck, you're being shaped. Think of a river. When it flows gently, it nourishes the land. When it crashes, it carves canyons. But always it moves forward, it finds a way, and so will you. There's a story often told about a farmer whose horse runs away. The neighbors come by and say, "What bad luck?" But the farmer replies, "Maybe so, maybe not." A few days later, the horse returns with 3 wild horses. "What good luck," the neighbors say. Again, the farmer replies, "Maybe so, maybe not." Then his son breaks his leg riding one of the wild horses. "What bad luck," they say. But soon after, the army comes through the village, drafting every young man except the farmer's injured son. The point is this: you never know what life is doing for you. What seems like misfortune may be the beginning of protection. What seems like loss may be the opening of something you didn't even know to hope for. So trust the flow, even when it scares you, even when you don't understand it. Especially then, because when you do, when you surrender your need to control every outcome, you don't lose your power. You find it. You begin to act from clarity instead of panic. You begin to speak from stillness, not fear. And slowly, steadily, your life begins to open in ways you could never have planned. That is the beauty of trust, of faith, of Stoic discipline. Not just in fate, but in yourself. Because you don't need to see the whole path to take the next step. You don't need to know when everything will come. You only need to believe it will, in time, in truth, in flow. So breathe. Release the need to force and walk forward with quiet strength. Your life is unfolding right now. Let it. Chapter 2. Strength is silent. Not all power makes noise. Some of the strongest people you'll ever meet don't speak much. They don't argue to be right. They don't parade their accomplishments. And yet, when they enter a room, something about them settles the air. That is silent strength. You don't have to raise your voice to raise your value. There's a deep kind of power that comes from restraint, from discipline, from the ability to sit with your emotions, to feel them fully, and still respond with intention instead of impulse. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy." That's not weakness. That's power, because anyone can lash out, anyone can react. But to hold your ground with grace, to not let someone else's chaos pull you out of your own character, that is mastery. Real strength is what you don't need to show. You don't need to prove yourself to people who misunderstand you. You don't need to fight every battle or win every argument. Your silence is not a lack of strength, it is your control over it. And sometimes, silence is the loudest thing in the room. Think about the last time you stayed quiet when you could have said something hurtful. The last time you let someone else keep their pride instead of tearing it down. The last time you held your center even when the world around you was trying to shake it. That moment, that was strength. You may not have gotten praise for it. No one may have noticed, but your character grew in that silence, and it made you unshakable. The Stoics understood that strength is internal. It's not about how much you lift or how loud you speak. It's about how well you carry what you cannot change. How calmly you move through discomfort, how deeply you trust yourself, even when nothing around you feels certain. Epictetus, who was once a slave, said, "It is not things themselves that disturb us, but our judgments about them." He knew that the most powerful person is not the one who controls everything. It's the one who doesn't need to. Your control lies within. You can't dictate what others say. You can't stop life from being hard, but you can decide who you'll be through it. You can practice that quiet resilience, the kind that doesn't demand recognition, but grows stronger in the shadows. You may not be the loudest voice in the room. You may not be the one who takes the spotlight, but you're the one who listens. The one who observes, the one who acts with purpose, not panic, and that makes you dangerous in the best way. Let others rush, you stay grounded. Let others prove. You stay real, because strength is not something to be performed, it's something to be lived. There's a story about a warrior who once asked a philosopher, "What makes a man powerful?" The philosopher didn't speak. He stood still, breathed slowly, and looked the warrior in the eyes. No sword. No answer, just calm. The warrior lowered his weapon. He understood. You don't need to speak to be heard. You don't need to shout to be seen. Your presence, the way you carry yourself in adversity, the way you choose restraint over reaction, that says more than words ever could. And in a world addicted to noise, your silence becomes sacred. It becomes your edge. So the next time you feel the urge to prove, to push, to shout, pause, ask yourself, is this strength or is this ego? Let your actions whisper your depth. Let your patience speak louder than pride. Let your stillness be your power, because the world doesn't need more volume, it needs more presence. And when you walk in silent strength, you become unshakable, not because nothing moves you, but because you know who you are beneath the movement. That's real Stoicism. That's real power. That's you becoming stronger in the quiet. Chapter 3, Lessons in Delay. Sometimes the hardest part isn't the pain, it's the waiting. You know what you want. You've put in the effort, you've tried, you've hoped, and yet nothing seems to move. The door doesn't open, the answer doesn't come. The breakthrough feels far away, and in that quiet, something begins to whisper inside you. Maybe it's not meant for me. Maybe I'm too late. Maybe I'm not enough. But pause for a moment. Look deeper. What if the delay isn't denial? What if it's not life saying no, but simply not yet? There is wisdom in the waiting. The Stoics believed that time itself was a teacher. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Time is a river of passing events, and strong is the current. No sooner is a thing brought to sight than it is swept by, and another takes its place." He understood that clinging to immediacy blinds you to the deeper current, where life is aligning things you can't yet see. Your waiting is not wasted. It is shaping you, preparing you, fortifying you for what you've asked for, but are not yet fully ready to carry. Think about a time in your life when something didn't happen as fast as you wanted. A relationship that ended before you understood why, a job you didn't get, a dream that felt close but slipped away. Now look again. Didn't something else come later? Something better suited to the version of you that was still forming? You see, delay often disguises itself as disappointment. But beneath it, there's a pattern, a hidden architecture, a refining fire. Seneca once wrote, "The whole future lies in uncertainty. Live immediately, not impatiently, but intentionally. Live today fully without demanding tomorrow deliver what you think you deserve, because often what you want is not what you need." Not yet. Desire must meet readiness. You may desire success, but are you disciplined enough to sustain it? You may crave love, but have you healed enough to receive it with grace, not desperation? The universe, like nature, works with timing. Seeds take seasons. And even under the surface, where you can't see it, roots are growing. Right now, Your character is being built in the waiting. Right now, your emotional muscle is being tested and strengthened. Right now, you are learning how to hold on with calm hands instead of clenched fists. This is the deeper lesson, that sometimes the gift of delay is the chance to grow quietly into the person your future requires. There's a story about a man who planted a bamboo seed. For years, he watered it, cared for the soil, protected it from the sun, but nothing happened, not even a sprout. Friends mocked him. He doubted himself, but he kept tending the ground. Then one day, after years of silence, the bamboo shot up 6 feet in a single week. Why? Because during those quiet years, the bamboo was growing deep roots, building a foundation strong enough to support rapid, lasting growth. You are in your root-growing season. Don't measure your life by what is visible alone. Don't measure your worth by timelines you didn't write. Measure it by your quiet persistence, by your willingness to show up without proof that it's working, by your faith that the time you're in now is not punishment, it's preparation. Let go of the need to rush your becoming. Let go of the panic that whispers you're behind. You are not late. You are not forgotten. You are on a path that honors both your pace and your purpose. Trust that. And when the delay stretches longer than you'd hoped, remind yourself, life is not ignoring me. Life is preparing me. What's mine will come, not a second too early and never too late. So breathe deeply, walk forward slowly, and learn what the delay is here to teach you. Because the day will come, quietly, suddenly, beautifully, when it all begins to make sense. And you'll realize the wait didn't break you, it built you. Chapter 4. The Power of Stillness. There's a quiet strength in you that's easy to overlook. Because it doesn't shout, it doesn't rush, it doesn't need to prove itself to the world. This strength shows up in stillness, in the moments where you resist the urge to react, where you hold your ground, where you choose presence over panic. Stillness is not inaction, it's control. It's the deep breath before you respond, the pause before you speak, the awareness that just because the world moves fast doesn't mean you have to. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Nowhere you can go is more peaceful, more free of interruptions than your own soul." And that's the truth. The most sacred place is not somewhere out there, it's within you. But it takes discipline to return to it, especially when everything around you demands movement. The world teaches you to react quickly, to stay busy, to chase results. But stillness teaches you something different. It teaches you to notice, to listen, to wait. And in that waiting, something inside you becomes sharper. You begin to hear things you used to miss. You begin to see the patterns in your own emotions, the way you tense up when you're afraid, the way you rush when you feel behind, the way you distract yourself when silence starts to feel too loud. Stillness isn't always comfortable, but it's always revealing. It shows you what's real. You don't need more noise, you need more clarity. You've probably had moments where you reacted too fast, said something you regretted, made a decision from a place of fear instead of wisdom. That's not weakness, that's being human, but you can train yourself to respond differently. You can choose to pause, to feel without judgment, to observe before you engage. The Stoics called this the inner citadel, that calm inner core no storm can reach. Epictetus reminded us, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. That reaction begins in stillness. Stillness is the soil where mastery is grown. A master swordsman isn't defined by his aggression, but by his control. The best speakers pause more than they speak. The strongest minds don't move faster, they move deeper. Think of a lake on a windless day, clear, undisturbed. You can see to the bottom, That's your mind when it's calm. That's your insight when you stop chasing thoughts and start watching them. And that clarity, it's always available to you right now in this breath. Stillness lets you access what chaos hides. It gives you back your choices. It gives you space to hear what your life is really asking of you. So the next time you feel that surge of frustration, that impulse to fix or prove or control, don't rush. Sit with it. Let it pass through. Let the storm move while you remain grounded, because in that moment, you're not stuck. You're becoming still, and from stillness comes the deepest kind of power, the kind that changes your direction without force. There's a story of a Zen monk who was once insulted by a traveler. The monk simply looked at him, bowed gently, and returned to his sweeping. Hours passed. The traveler returned and asked, "Why didn't you say anything?" The monk replied, "If someone offers you a gift and you don't accept it, to whom does it belong?" That's stillness in action. You don't have to accept every invitation to chaos. You don't need to match the energy around you. You are allowed to be calm in a frantic world. You are allowed to move slowly when everything screams speed. You are allowed to protect your peace, even when others don't understand it. That's not weakness, that's wisdom, so come back to yourself. Inhale, exhale, choose stillness. Choose presence, and you'll find that even when nothing seems to be changing on the outside, everything is shifting within you, and that's where real transformation begins. Chapter 5. Adversity as Training. No one escapes difficulty, but not everyone grows from it. You've been through storms, quiet ones that no one saw. You've stood in moments where the weight felt too heavy, where hope seemed out of reach, and yet somehow, you're still here. That is not weakness. That is proof of strength, the kind of strength that isn't loud or dramatic, it's earned. Built, refined through challenge, adversity is not here to break you. It's here to build you. The Stoics didn't avoid pain, they trained for it. They embraced discomfort as the fire that tempers the steel of the soul. Seneca wrote, "Difficulties strengthen the mind, as labor does the body." That means the things that feel like obstacles in your path are not interruptions, they are the path. Every setback, every failure, every time you felt like giving up but didn't, that was training. That was you, becoming more than you were before. You don't become unshakable by staying comfortable. You become unshakable by facing what scares you and moving forward anyway. By falling, learning, and rising again and again. Think about it. The muscles in your body only grow when you challenge them. They need resistance, pressure, strain. Your character is no different. That difficult person in your life, they're strengthening your patience. That loss you suffered, it's deepening your compassion. That silence you're enduring, it's sharpening your self-trust. Nothing is wasted, not even the pain. The Stoics knew that life wasn't supposed to be easy. They never promised you peace without struggle. What they offered instead was a mindset, a way to stand firm in the face of chaos and say, "This too will shape me." Marcus Aurelius, in the solitude of his meditations, reminded himself, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." Sit with that. The very thing you're resenting might be the very thing that's refining you. A fire doesn't only destroy, it forges, it transforms. And so does adversity. You're being trained for something deeper, a deeper strength, a deeper clarity, a deeper sense of who you really are. Beneath the surface, beneath the expectations, beneath the noise, the world won't always understand what you're carrying. But you do. You feel it in your chest, that weight, that pressure, that quiet voice that says, "Keep going, this matters," and it does. Because every time you choose resilience over surrender, you're not just surviving, you're expanding. There's an old story of a young oak tree caught in a storm. The wind rips at its branches. The rain tries to drown its roots, but the tree doesn't fall. Instead, its roots dig deeper, stronger. And when the sun returns, that tree doesn't just stand, it thrives. It's more grounded than it ever was before. That's you, right now. Maybe the storm hasn't passed yet. But you're still standing, and every gust of wind is teaching you how to stay rooted. Adversity teaches you who you are when no one's watching. It peels away the masks, the comfort, the illusion of control. And what's left is something raw, something real, something unbreakable. So if you're in the middle of it, whatever it is, don't look away. Don't rush to escape it. Instead, ask yourself, what is this teaching me? What strength is this pulling out of me? Because it is pulling something out of you. And what's being revealed may just be the most powerful part of you. You are not being punished. You are being prepared. Prepared for the next chapter, for deeper wisdom, for greater peace. For a life that's not defined by ease, but by depth. Let adversity train you. Let it strengthen you. Let it shape the kind of soul that doesn't crumble, but rises. And when you look back, not with regret, but with gratitude, you'll realize the hard parts weren't detours. They were the very moments you became who you were meant to be. Chapter 6. Give without clutching. There is a kind of generosity that goes beyond giving. It's not about how much you offer or how often. It's about how freely you let it go. Real giving is not transactional. It doesn't clutch. It doesn't count. It releases without needing anything in return. You are not defined by what you keep. You are shaped by what you offer. The Stoics believed that the virtue of generosity is not in the act itself, but in the attitude behind it. Seneca wrote, "A benefit is to be bestowed as a favor, not to be repaid as a debt." And what he meant was simple. When you give, give because it is right, not because it will come back to you. You've already experienced this. Maybe you've offered your time, your patience, your help, and it wasn't acknowledged. No thank you. No applause, no reward, and yet a part of you felt fuller after. Because giving without expectation doesn't take something away from you. It expands who you are. But here's the danger. When you begin to attach your worth to outcomes, when you give love, advice, effort, or kindness only if it's reciprocated, you stop giving. You start bargaining. And Stoic generosity is not a bargain. It's a practice of freedom. Clutching is fear. Letting go is strength. When you cling too tightly to people, to results, to recognition, you create tension. You block flow. You become attached not just to what you're offering, but to what you expect in return. And in that moment, you lose peace, because the truth is, you can't control what others do with what you give. You can only choose the purity of your intention. The more you hold with an open hand, the more space you create for growth. Think of a river. It flows, nourishes, gives without hesitation. But the moment it's dammed up, restricted, it stagnates, it loses its power. Your energy is the same. When you allow your gifts, your words, your time, your kindness to move freely through you, you remain clear, connected, alive. But when you give with strings attached, you build tension in places meant for grace. True generosity has no ego. You don't have to announce what you've done. You don't have to be seen. In fact, the most powerful kind of giving is invisible. The friend who checks in when you go quiet. The stranger who smiles just when you need it. The advice you gave, even when no one seemed to listen, and still you offered it. Freely, silently, that's Stoic virtue in motion. Epictetus said, "Don't expect the world to be fair. Give anyway." Because you are not here to measure the world, you are here to express your principles through your actions. You don't need applause to live your values. You need alignment. Let go of the return. Let go of the keeping score. Let go of the grip. Give because it makes you lighter. Give because it makes you stronger. Give because your spirit was made to flow, not to hoard, even when the world feels closed off. Even when you feel unseen, give, because in giving freely, you practice trust, not in others, but in yourself, in your clarity, in your values, in your path. And yes, some will take advantage, some will not reciprocate, but that's not your concern. Your concern is to remain open and wise and whole, because when you give without clutching, you walk through life without chains. You move with a heart that is full but not heavy. You speak with a voice that is kind but not needy. You live with a presence that is generous but grounded, and that's a rare kind of freedom. So today, give your effort, your presence, your patience. Not for validation, not to be repaid, but because it's who you've chosen to be. And the beauty is, what you release without attachment often returns in ways you never imagined. Not always when you expect it, but always when you're ready. Give without clutching. That is how your life begins to breathe. Chapter 7, Embrace the Mystery. There are parts of life you'll never be able to explain. Moments that don't make sense when they happen. Questions that go unanswered for years. And yet, those very mysteries, those moments you couldn't control, couldn't predict, are the ones that often change you the most. You don't need all the answers. You just need enough trust to take the next step. The Stoics didn't fear uncertainty. They respected it. They understood that to live fully, you must stop demanding clarity from life and start moving forward with courage in its absence. Epictetus said, "Don't seek for everything to happen as you wish it would, but rather wish that everything happens as it actually will. Then your life will flow well." That's not resignation. That's liberation, because the truth is, you were never meant to figure everything out. Some things aren't meant to be solved. They're meant to be lived. You've been in places like that before. A season of confusion, a painful ending, a detour that felt like a dead end. But now with time and space, don't you see how it all connected? How what once seemed random actually refined you? What if you gave yourself permission now to trust what you'll only understand later? The mystery isn't your enemy. It's your guide. You don't have to know what tomorrow holds. You just have to remain grounded in who you are today. You don't have to map out the whole journey. You just need the courage to keep walking, even when the road disappears for a while. Think of standing in a fog. You can't see more than a few feet ahead, but each step you take reveals the next. That's what it means to live with faith. Not blind belief in perfection, but quiet trust in direction. You're not lost. You're unfolding. You are in process, in motion, becoming. But the mind doesn't like uncertainty. It wants control. It wants guarantees. It wants to know. And yet, life moves on its own clock, its own rhythm, its own wisdom. Seneca wrote, "No man was ever wise by chance. Wisdom is born in the unknown, not in the answers, but in how you live the questions." So stop resisting the parts of life that don't yet make sense. Stop fighting the silence. Stop fearing the spaces where clarity hasn't arrived. Those are sacred places, places where patience turns into strength, where humility gives way to peace, where surrender becomes your superpower. There's an old story of a traveler who walks through the forest with only a lantern. The light doesn't show the whole trail, only the next few steps. But the traveler trusted, walks anyway, and eventually reaches the clearing. You are that traveler, and your light isn't certainty. It's your values, your stillness, your discipline, your heart. So when you don't know what to do next, return to that. Act with integrity, speak with kindness, move with intention. Let those be the steps you take in the dark, because the mystery is not here to hurt you. It's here to remind you of something deeper. That you are not here to control life. You are here to live it, to be present in the unfolding, to be honest in the in-between, to be faithful in the fog. Everything you're seeking, peace, purpose, clarity, doesn't always come through answers. Sometimes it comes through surrender, through a soft letting go of the need to know, through a quiet embrace of what simply is. So breathe, feel your feet on the ground. You are right where you're meant to be. Not because everything is figured out, but because you've stopped needing it to be. You've chosen to embrace the mystery. And in that choice, you've already found your strength. Conclusion. So here you are, standing at the quiet edge of something deeper. Not everything is clear, not everything is finished, but something in you is calmer, stronger, wiser, because now you understand what the Stoics lived by. You don't have to force life to make sense. You don't have to control every outcome. You only need to remain faithful to your values, to your path, to yourself. Trust the flow. Let strength speak through your stillness. Accept the delay as preparation. Give without clutching. And when clarity disappears, embrace the mystery. Because everything you seek, peace, purpose, wholeness, it's not somewhere far away. It's already within you, waiting, and it arrives not when you demand it, but when you're ready to receive it. So take a breath. Place your trust in the moment and keep moving forward with quiet courage and open hands. If this message stirred something in you, leave a comment below. I trust the process, because that trust is everything. Subscribe to the Stoic Philosophy for more timeless guidance, not to escape life, but to meet it with strength, stillness, and soul. You're not behind, you're becoming. And everything comes in time.